How's it going, everybody? This is Brandon with CinemaSlice.com, and we have another interview for you guys. This one's pretty special, pretty close to home. I have two writer, director, camera operators. They do everything. They have their own production company, Even Keel Productions. I'm here with Brian Donaldson and Wade Lodwick. How's it going, guys?
Fantastic.
Looking good.
Thank you so much for coming on. I have a lot of questions for you guys. One of the general questions that we usually start with is just, how'd you get into film?
I started out wanting to work film and went through radio to get there. Went to a broadcast school in Detroit, Specs Howard School of Broadcasting, and got introduced to TV and been sidelined with TV for the last 31 years, and just kind of came back around to saying, you know what, I need to make some films because this is TV stuff doesn't do that. It's not the same creative outlet. It's creative and it's been a great career, but it was time to do something just a little bit different.
Okay.
I've had some success as a freelance writer, and I've had some short stories published, and then I met Brian through local community theater, and I started talking to him about, maybe these stories I have, we could get them on film. One thing led to another, and here we are, my gosh, 5-10 years later, wherever we are.
Yeah, something like that.
So you're freelance writer, so I take it like you guys obviously write and direct all of your own productions, correct?
We have. Wade's wrote all of them, and then I've shot most of them, not all of them, but Colton Hayward comes in there, and he helps out a lot. Nick White has helped out a lot. So there's a lot of different people involved with it.
And that's a big part of what we do, because although maybe I'm the writer and producer, we like to get the people in the movie involved in the movie so they can move on to other things. And we've been pretty successful with having young people move on to bigger and better things past our little production.
How many productions have you guys made total? Like how many shorts, features, how many have you guys made so far?
I think it's at 5 right now.
Yeah, 5. We started with
Angel Watching Over Me.
Winona.
And Winona's Secret.
Under the Bed.
Yeah, that was real short, 2.5-minute one.
Then we did Ronnie Blue.
Yeah.
And now we've done the sequel to Ronnie Blue, which is Midland Street Wicked.
We also did Hills Like White Elephants.
Oh, that's right. There's one other.
6 of them in there.
Yep. So I'm familiar with Killer Shades, Hills Like White Elephants, Midland Street Wicked. I'm familiar with those. No spoilers or anything like that, but can you give us a quick gist of what Killer Shades, Ronnie Blue is for the listeners at home?
I was contacted by another independent filmmaker about they wanted to make a series of movies based upon a pair of glasses. And they want them to be spectacles, and I suggested, and it ended up turning into sunglasses, Killer Shades. So that at the end of each feature, this happens, that happens, then the shades are lost, or someone else finds them, and then another movie progresses, and then another and another. And trust me, if you go to YouTube and look up Killer Shades, now there's a slew of them. But ours are very sequential, that at the end of one movie, the glasses get lost or found
or taken, and a new set of people have these glasses, which makes people do unpleasant things to other people. It gives them powers.
Taking a look at your guys' films that you've done, and especially with the Bump of the Night Film Festival, which we'll get into in a second, do you guys tend to lean towards more horror, science fiction? I mean, what do you guys enjoy making? Like, Wade, do you prefer writing horror?
Well, I've written a bunch of stuff. But when we did the Bump of the Night Festival, we have film festivals in the area, and they cater to a bunch of different people. We wanted to create a film festival where anyone could have their film submitted. And most first-time filmmakers, for one reason or the other, go to suspense or mystery or terror, horror, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes it's humor. They aren't necessarily all, scare you out of your pants type stuff. But we wanted these filmmakers to have a venue where they could show their movies. And that's why we said, let's go with Bump in the Night. My goodness, Hills Like White Elephants is certainly not a scary movie at all.
No, it is not. Which that was an adaptation, correct?
That is
Yes.
correct. From an Ernest
that-
Hemingway story.
And what was that? Was that your first adaptation for a screenplay?
I'm going to say yes, it is.
And what was that like? What was the process like, taking inspiration and adapting a story that's been written? As a writer, what's that process like?
Well, I'm a huge Ernest Hemingway fan, first of all, and whether you know it or your listeners know it, Ernest Hemingway spent a lot of time in Michigan. Now, this story doesn't take place in Michigan, but as a guy who is an Ernest Hemingway fan and I wanted to do something of his, I liked this story a lot because it took place in one scene. There was only one set. It wasn't like we had to change venues 5 times. That made it very easy for us. We also updated it to modern times because the original story was set in, I think, 1933, I want to say, but I could be wrong about that. And it's been adapted, oh my gosh, a dozen, a half dozen, 2 dozen times, who knows how many. But I wanted it to bring it up to par to modern day. So it was difficult in that I had a vision, and my actor and actresses who were not necessarily real familiar with the story wanted to speak in modern day logistics, which turned out great for us. It was a great thing, yes.
And what was so that you guys shot in one location, which was in a bar? Was that in Bay City as well?
Yeah, there was more than one location involved, though. We sent a crew out with 2 people walking around town so that we got a whole bunch of flavor for the city kind of thing.
Right.
But 90% of that movie is filmed on Midland Street in Bay City at the
Diamond Jacks. That's
Diamond Jacks, I think it is.
It's pretty exciting time, in my opinion, right now in the Tri-Cities, especially for film. I feel like there's a lot of things going on. Now, Bump in the Night Film Festival is a festival that you guys created. You touched on it a little bit a second ago. So why don't we dive straight into that? Tell us about the festival and the process of what it was like creating a festival for film.
Well, it really was a venue so that we could just show the movies that we had created already. And then we knew of some others around the area that also needed to be shown. And so Wade says, let's have a movie festival. And I said, oh, okay. And then we did it.
We were fortunate that a good friend of ours owns a dinner theater, and he offered us his venue for, was that the first time?
Yeah. It was the Whistling Idiots Comedy Dinner Theater. It's now closed, and unfortunately, our friend Steve has passed away. But it was a great place to do it.
So we had it there, and then next year we had so much people submitting films to us that we moved on to the West Town. And
oh, wow.
we had it 2 years there, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then we took a year off, and we're going to rehab it one more time. I think it's going to be an outdoor venue this year. But it's supposed to be, since once again, we're trying to stick with the whole Halloween theme, if nothing else, because all the other ones, Bump in the Nights, were within a week or two of Halloween. Let's scare people. It's going to be in September. It's going to be an outdoor venue. It's going to be free. Bring your own lawn chair and enjoy the movies. Because we're all about putting movies on the screen. We're not trying to make a ton of money. We're not trying to make any money. We're trying to allow filmmakers, if you have a movie and you've done it well, we'll put it on the screen for you.
That's amazing. And I also think that, and especially what you guys have done with Bump in the Night, it's networking. That's another thing that I would advise people just starting out is just talk to people. Like, just reach out to people. Always continuously network.
All the people that we got involved with the Bump in the Night, and then look at the stuff they're doing. Charlene Jeter, she keeps turning out film after film down at Detroit Film Studios in Detroit. Patrick Neff, he's doing all kinds of cool stuff. You know, Nick does a lot of work, a lot of different things. Michael Wellborn is just going crazy with it. So it's all these people that we met.
Have you seen Mike's new Michael Wellborn's new Electric Moving Picture Show?
You know, I caught a little bit of it, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet.
Yes, I've seen it.
I had the pleasure of being in episode 2 and working with him, and it was the first time that I had the opportunity to work in front of a green screen heavily, and it was an awesome experience. I love that show. Me and Mike have a really, really great relationship. He's actually the director of my show, Lower Spirits. He definitely is it's fantastic. So yes, networking. For example, for me, like I started out with just wanting to make films, and I was by myself talking to people. That's pretty much what you need to do.
That's exactly what it is. In fact, I was talking to another filmmaker named Glenn, looking for films for our first or second Bump in the Night, and it doesn't matter. And he told me there's this guy out there named Nick White that has a movie that will work. And I contacted Nick right out of the dark. I mean, just blind. And here we are. Nick and I worked quite a bit together. It was a great movie for the festival, and boy, it really worked out well for it because we networked.
Now, what was the hardest part of the festival getting it started? Like, was it just marketing? Was it getting the word out about it? What was the snags that you guys hit when you created this festival?
Well, every place that we've done it so far has already had their liquor license so they could serve alcohol, and we didn't want to have to deal with that. That also lets the venue make some money on what's going on, because honestly, we didn't do this to make any money off it. We just wanted to get the movies on a big screen, and in a different setting, and be in a theater, or now trying for an outdoor theater. So we'll see what happens with that.
We were fortunate that we've known a number of people that had venues available to us. And I'm not going to say it was easy, but it certainly made it easier that we didn't walk into a cold sale. And just as Brian alluded to, it really helps that these people have a license to sell beer, because all they do is put a bartender on, and they're going to make their money. Now, we took the gate when people came in, and it was nice, and especially at the West Town, things went very well. Getting the word out might be the most difficult thing, but once again, we had so many films and so many filmmakers. Some of these films were only 3 minutes long, and others would be 20 minutes long. But my God, 15, 16 films?
Or 3 to 5 minutes?
But we had 15, 16 films in a film festival. And the more people you have, or more films you have, the more people want to come see it.
Definitely. And so what does the future hold for Even Keel? What projects are you guys working on? Can we expect maybe a new film coming out? Or?
Well, Midland Street Wicked would be our newest, and that really hasn't even been released yet, nor has Hills Like White Elephants, but I don't know that was ever going to get a big following or show, only because of the subject matter. It's more thought-provoking than anything.
I watched Hills Like White Elephants. It's definitely a drama, and it's definitely one that, like you said, it has a very sensitive subject matter to it, and it's definitely one of those slower, thought-provoking, dialogue-heavy short films. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Killer Shades, I thought was great. I love your guys' horror. You guys tend to, with your horror films, you guys tend to go more towards the paranormal. Is that just due to just your influences in horror? Like, what kind of influences do you have when it comes to the subject matter of writing and directing horror? What do you look at?
I'm pretty sure Brandon, it's just because we're not normal.
Oh, yeah.
We like horrors. Did you say horror?
Horrors or horror?
Horror.
Oh, geez.
Horror, yeah.
That's your question. I actually have another script. Midland Street Wicked is the sequel to the Ronnie Blue Obsession, the first Killer Shades movie. They reference Ronnie Blue in Midland Street Wicked. I have another script written right now that references Midland Street Wicked. And I have 2 more behind that I'm working on. Now, whether they get made or not, I don't know. Because quite honestly, Brian and I talk about, we would like to see somebody else's interpretation of these scripts. Does that make sense to you? It shouldn't be just Brian and I. We want to give this script every time these evil glasses gets passed on in these movies, and every time in every movie they move on, someone else gets them. We would love to see someone else say, "Yeah, I'll take this strip, and I got an idea."
There were two other chapters of it made. One of them was called Luca. What was the other one called?
5x5.
5x5. By other filmmakers. They're both Michigan people, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Both guys from Michigan, and they were doing it for the third Bump in the Night Festival.
And Luca is an outstanding movie.
Wonderfully
great movie.
Yeah.
Michael Viegas, he's from the Detroit area, but man, that was a killer movie.
Oh, great! I gotta check that out. I saw that was on the promotional stuff for you said the third annual Bump in the Night.
I think it was the third.
Because I think I remember seeing the poster being displayed when I was looking into the festivals and stuff like that.
One that Nick produced. That was the fourth one that Nick produced.
You know, as a filmmaker, as a production company, what's your goal? Like, what is your is there a final goal? Something that's like you guys have collectively been working towards, like making a feature film or getting a film distributed or getting is there a final goal, or is it just we're doing it because we love it and we're gonna keep doing it kind of thing?
You know, we started doing this stuff. Wade said to me, "Brian, let's make this movie, and I want to try to enter it in this competition or this film festival." And I said, "Well, Wade, we don't have enough time to make that." He said, "We don't. Why not?" Well, then he figured it out later when we made a shorter film before we made that movie, and saw how long that the process took. We're just doing it as a hobby. Really, we've just done it as a hobby. You know, if something extraordinary were to happen with it, boy, wouldn't that be wonderful? You know, yeah. I mean, honestly, that's just the way we've looked at it. You know, we've had ideas. Both of us have ideas for feature-length movies. And, you know, honestly, this whole Killer Shades thing could easily be put into one. Or, you know, the chapters that are out there already could be woven in together to make a feature-length movie out of it. It takes a lot of time to do that. I work a full-time job, and you know, I don't have the time to do that. Wade's got 3 daughters at home still that are in high school. Well, one's in college. You know, so it takes a tremendous amount of time to do this stuff, and then you have to also get other people to help out and get them on board with it. It's just really been a hobby that, you know, occasionally gets a little out of control.
Gotcha. As a filmmaker myself, and as a writer and actor in the local community, it's always great to see the local film community doing well. People making films, people getting together, people collaborating. And to everybody out there who's listening right now that wants to start doing this, do it. And the question that I have for you guys next is, for that listener out there who wants to do this, what's the best advice that you could have for, you know, he or she that wants to get started doing something like this?
Don't think that you need to be a superstar right off the bat. Brian and I have been so impressed with the amount of local talent we find when we just talk to people about, we're going to do this, would you be interested in being part of our project? And I'm not just talking about acting. People that will just hold a light for you, or hold the boom, or hold a camera. My gosh, in one of these cafeteria scenes, we had one of the cooks shooting scenes for us. People want to be involved. They want to shoot this. They want to do something with a local independent movie. Don't think you have to be a superstar. I'm not going to say don't shoot for the stars, but don't hesitate to get something going on a local level to build upon, so you can be the filmmaker, the producer, the writer, the actor, actress that you want to be.
You just really have to go out there and do it. If you don't, it's not going to happen. I look at the first one that we did, the first movie that we made, Wade and I, and then I'm looking at this more recent one, Millard Street Wicked, and I can see a big difference in it. The flow of it, the shooting of it, everything, the continuity, everything is worked much better, you know, now 6 projects in. Whereas at first when we started out, it was difficult to get it to come together well.
Yeah, and truly, although I had a vision about this movie I wanted to make, I didn't have a clue, truthfully. Thank God Brian had filming experience, because all I knew was, you know, I'm going to get some actors together, we're going to shoot this, and 2 days later it'll be done. Well, it was 18 months later
I think it was, yeah.
when we finally got that thing done.
A 35-minute film.
Right. And that's the thing too, is that the one thing I always tell people who want to get started in something like this is that your final product of whatever you make is not going to be what you think in your head it's going to look like.
I
So,
would agree with that.
and I always tell people, and first-time filmmakers and people who are even writing out right now, do not be disappointed with your project. Because the thing is, I see a lot of kids these days and stuff like that, and they watch the Hollywood film, and they see the look. They're, oh, well, that film looks so great. It's like, well, the camera they're shooting with is $400,000. Like,
Right. All of our movies together wouldn't add up to $400,000 worth of budget.
Right. With Midland Street Wicked, I find that the lighting and different things like that, the scene when the girl at the bar walks out, and I don't want to spoil anything, but she walks by an alleyway, and I think it's got that green lighting, right?
Oh yeah, there's some.
That green, because you guys use a lot of the greens and a lot of the reds. The lighting is good, and I just really, really enjoyed that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I definitely did.
Really, a lot of that is what I call guerrilla filmmaking. We're using a lot of natural light there, and knowing the different lights that you have. Fluorescents are going to be more green. Mercury vapors are going to be really blue. Sodium vapors are orange. Tungsten lights are more yellow and a nice warm color to them. Halogens are just really bright. They have a funny blue look sometimes to them to me. So you can use all of those and know where they're coming from, where it's going to be. And I'll sometimes move the lights that I have around, and I don't have anything fancy, and I do have a nice little Frezzi light that I get to use that's a battery powered. It's a LED. Oh my gosh, you can get it in the tightest places, and it's got a dimmer built into it. It's really kind of nice. So, you just have to worry about those. And that one, it's real easy to drop a gel in front of and change the color of it too.
Right.
And the point there, in my eyes, as writer and producer, because I don't know shit about camera angles and lights and this or that or coloration, you have to trust your cinematographer. You have to talk to him, and Brian and I talk many, many times, long before we ever shoot a scene, about, I tell him, this is what I see, Brian, can you make this happen? And sometimes he says, no, we don't have the money to do that. But we can come close with this. You got to work with what you have. And goodness gracious, thank goodness for Brian, because he makes, we talk a lot, because I just said, he takes a lot of things right over my head and he puts them on film or digital for us.
What is that casting like in the Tri-Cities? Is the casting process for your guys' film? Which could you even explain, like, for the listeners out there who want to audition for one of your films, just tell them like how to be on the lookout for it?
Really, we just find people that we've known, that we talk into doing it or whatnot. Occasionally, we've had people not show up for us, and so then you're frantically trying to get somebody. And we did this on Midland Street Wicked. We got one young lady to show up the day of, and 15 hours later, she finally went home. And she did a fine job. She looks great. It's just crazy. I think we had 3 people play one character in that movie. So you can try to figure that one out.
Oh, wow. We're going to get into a fun segment for the show. One that
All
we
right.
just kind of, so this is going to be a little bit more fun. We're going to go through, and if you can answer it, I understand. First question, cocaine or heroin? No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. No, the first question, no, that's a joke. The first question that I have for you guys is favorite film of all time. Go.
The Toxic Avenger.
Get out of town. Is it?
What the fuck, did I just lie?
Oh my God, really? That's fantastic. I love The Toxic Avenger.
I would have to say Spartacus by Stanley Kubrick.
So we have The Toxic Avenger and we have a Kubrick film. Probably the best. Wow. Okay, that was awesome. That's the best of both worlds there. I'm a huge Troma fan with like Lower Spirits and everything like that. So The Toxic Avenger is obviously one of my favorites. I'm a huge Kubrick fan. So next question is, worst film you've ever seen?
I would have to go with my mother-in-law's home videos from 1953.
Okay.
I can't even use that. My Uncle Harold was really good.
Directed by Stanley Kubrick. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
Or I could go with The Toxic Avenger again, which is a terrible movie, but I love it.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's the best worst film of all time. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say the best worst film of all time because I don't consider it a category. I think it's just a good movie, but
I don't know. I find something almost in every movie that I've ever seen that I like, and so I just don't. I don't know. They all have their place.
that's true. I mean, yeah, film and art is subjective, so one person can see something that another person, can't.
I would tell you that Natural Born Killers with Woody Harrelson. What was Oliver Stone directed that, didn't he?
Yes.
I just did not like that movie.
Really? That was
It just made me too uncomfortable. Maybe that's why I didn't like it.
well, it was originally written by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was a Tarantino script. Then Tarantino sold it, and Stone completely ripped it apart.
Maybe that's what I didn't like it, because I love Tarantino movies.
So that's an interesting fact for Natural Born Killers. Well, to wrapping up this interview, is there anything that you guys would like to add? Anything that you'd like to talk about, promote coming out?
I'd like to talk about when you're going to submit a movie to Bump in the Night.
All right. Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, when I'm going to submit a film to Bump in the Night. I will be there. I will be there dressed to the nines for the next one, I promise, and I will submit for Bump in the Night.
Okay, well, you're too late for this year. It's going to be next year. I am now giving you 14 months notice.
Okay.
Can make a movie.
14 months to make a movie. Okay.
Be the movie.
Fantastic. I know a couple people that could help me with that.
I just want to thank Brian and Wade and Even Keel Productions for coming on the show. If you want to learn more about Even Keel Productions, check them out on Facebook, YouTube, and also check out their film festival, Bump in the Night Film Festival. It's an amazing experience to go to. They have a lot of fun films playing there. I suggest anyone in the area to check it out, and even if you're out of the area, come on in. Once again, this is Brandon with CinemaSlice.com signing off on Episode 2 of SliceCast. Thanks, everybody, for listening.